if you don't have the right culture, if you don't have the right discipline, that's where guys start fighting with each other and complaining about stuff, and then everything falls apart.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Mindset Podcast. This episode is going to be a really good one. We have a very special guest, Coach Juan Hernandez. He goes by many titles, one of coach, father, son, mentor, father figure. I could go on and on. I personally, me and Anthony, we both played for this guy in Archbishop Carroll. We went pretty far. This is, by far one of my biggest mentors that I look up to. Today, we still talk on a weekly basis. But Coach, without further ado, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone who doesn't know you?
Yep. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you guys both for having me on. I'm really happy to see the success you guys have had, and obviously very, very proud. Both of you have a really bright future, and I'm blessed and lucky to be a small part of it. But I'm looking forward to what you guys are going to be doing in the future. My name's Juan Hernandez, and currently I'm at St. Brendan High School. Like Gabe said, I was at Archbishop Carroll for a few years. Also coached at FIU for a little bit, and was also on the business side and the corporate side for 20-something years, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point. Left that to kind of go full-time into what one of my passions is, which is basketball, and going into my third season at St. Brendan now, and really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to a lot of good things there.
Awesome. Yeah, you, like Gabe mentioned in the beginning, you took the ACC team to states, but you actually did it back-to-back, at least when Gabe and I, when I was there. I experienced a little bit. I was on JV, but I experienced some of that, taking your team back-to-back to states. What, if you will, for lack of better words, what's the secret formula that you instilled into the team to have that success? I mean, back-to-back states, that's a remarkable achievement. What did you do to get the team to that level?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to say that I did X, Y, Z, but you guys were there, you experienced it, and really the group that we had there, first of all, we worked tremendously, as 12 months of the year. We never stopped. Gave them a couple weeks off here and there, but the work ethic of those guys was phenomenal. But most importantly, Gabe was there that first year. Was it the first year or the second year? Gabe, the second year, right?
I was the second year, yeah.
Second year, right. And then Ant got brought up from JV that year also. The love those guys had for each other, that was such a close group. They've been together for sometimes, 36 months, some of them, some others 24 months, but it was just such a close group. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like that second year, like the first year was hard, but the second year, we were just on cruise control. Like that, the year we went back to back, that second year, it was just cruise control. And, I honestly, I didn't have to do much that year. The practices were run pretty much by the players. We talk about leadership a lot, you and I, and both of you and I, and, that was a situation of, there's three types of way to lead, right? You could lead from the front, you could lead from the side, and you could lead from the back. For example, this last season at St. Brendan, we had a ton of freshmen on the varsity. 6 freshmen, a couple sophomores. We were really, really young, right? So from there, you got to lead from the front. You got to, hey, here's how it's done. Come, let me kind of take you towards this stuff, right? This upcoming season, now those freshmen are going to be sophomores. Those sophomores are going to be juniors. The year after that, so on and so forth. Now you can lead from the side a little bit more, and you're kind of not hand-holding, but it's a joint thing. That last group at ACC, 7, 8 seniors, you're leading from behind. You're letting guys that know how it's done, and I'm there to eliminate barriers. What do you need? How can I help? Tell me, I had a great relationship with guys where if I told them, hey, you let me know when you need a day off, right? And, whether it was Carlos or Cordero or Silva or any one of those guys, and they came to me and said, Coach, we're a little tired, we need a day off. I knew that it was for real. You know, I didn't have to, oh, are these guys going to go somewhere? No, like, boom, day off. So, I mean, that was easy. So when you say, you know, what did you, that was kind of like the culmination of the 36 months. That was just kind of sit back and watch the show. I mean, that was awesome. That was probably, you know, best couple years of my life from a coaching standpoint, without a doubt.
That was fun. I mean, watching it from a different perspective, right now, not being part of the team officially, it was a machine. Yeah. I mean, like, and you know, us three and the players, we see it from a different perspective than, let's say, the fans, right? We catch the things that we messed up on. So it might not look perfect to us because we catch little mistakes because we know how to do it. But then to a fan's perspective, from what I've heard from my parents, friends, is like, damn, you guys are like a machine. Yeah. I guess everybody knows where to go, when to go, what to do when they're there. That's how they see it. And that was fun. That was one of my favorite experiences of all of high school, was, you know, being part of that and seeing that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a joy to watch, and those are great years. And, you know, hopefully we can replicate that now at St. Brendan. That's the plan.
That's right.
Yeah, we believe in you, Coach. But, I mean, from being a player on that team, I could definitely attest to what you were saying in the beginning, that we were so close-knit. You know, we were basically like a family. The days we didn't have practice, we were at someone's house having a barbecue, you know, chilling, like hanging out, going to dinners after games. Like, we were always together. And I think me and Anthony always talk about surrounding yourself with the right people. You know, who you hang around with is potentially who you're going to become. Yep. You know, and I think that's a perfect culmination of, you know, what went down a couple years back with that second back-to-back team. And I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, because you were mentioning it before we got on, of one of your, I'm sure, favorite practices. One of my first practices. I knew this was going to come up, so let me just get it out in the open. And at the end, I want to hear your perspective on this. But for those of you guys who don't know, my second practice at ACC, you know, we were hanging out. Coach actually gave us a day off. We were kind of having a shooting practice. You know, I was still trying to prove myself to all these guys. I had no idea who anyone was. And Steven, for those of you guys don't know, he's a short guy, big, bulky guy. I guess he's always the troublemaker, always wanted to stir things up. So he challenged me to dunk, because I guess they had heard that I could jump a little bit. So like, hey Gabe, you know what? You go for an alley-oop. I'm like, all right, man, this might be my chance to prove my willingness to all these guys. So long story short, I go up, land on the wrong foot, break my wrist. Second practice. Coach, I know that was a fun day for you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and unfortunately for you, it wasn't like an NCAA situation where you can get a medical red shirt. You lost the whole year, and, you know, man, that sucked. But yeah, I mean, I was in my office. It was one of those days where, like I said, you know, the guys needed a day off, and I just kind of let you guys do your own thing. And my son was there with you guys, and I don't know what it was, but every time I would leave my son alone with you guys, something was gonna happen. Something was gonna happen. And I was in my office, and he called me, and he's like, you need to come over here. And I'm like, oh, man, what happened? Like, no, we had an accident. Sure enough, I got there, and, you know, I mean, the wrist was going the wrong way, and the rest is history. But, you know, luckily you were able to recover from that. But yeah, man, that was a bad situation. I mean, we joke about it now, but yeah, it's terrible to miss the entire year of high school, or the entire season, I guess, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, I was in a lucky situation that I wasn't even playing with you guys at the time. You guys were heading into the playoff session of your season. I was kind of just practicing with you guys, getting a feel for it. But on a more serious note, me and Anthony were talking about this earlier. Me going into the program, second day, and like I said, my discipline wasn't in the right place, because I guess it's just from my prior history, my prior teammates, you know, the history that I came from. I think my mind shifted, especially going into that second year, my junior year. My mind was definitely in a different place, and my discipline had shifted from when that accident happened. So on a more serious note, I mean, the discipline that you instilled in me, that Coach Chris, I know he was there most of the time, really drilling us every day, and conditioning and stuff. But that just goes to show, you know, the difference of the caliber, you know, competition. I know even down to the materialistic things like the shoes, you know, the locker rooms, everything that we had was college level. And I think that all goes, you know, your atmosphere definitely plays a part in your mindset and how you treat yourself. But yeah, that was just a funny story I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we always said even now at St. Brendan, the program isn't for everybody, and that's okay. We're going to do things a certain way. We're going to do things the right way. We're going to do them all the time, not some of the time, not on Mondays, not on Wednesdays. We're going to do them all the time. And when you have the right culture, when you have the right mindset, no pun intended with the podcast, everybody going to fall in line, or you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah. And you guys know we had to eliminate a couple guys here and there along the way that were good, really good players, but just didn't want to buy in. And I've never been one to try and bend the rules or take a shortcut. And I'd rather lose the right way, doing things the right way, than win doing things the wrong way.
And something to piggy off on what Gabe said on why I think, in my opinion, why your programs wherever you go are so successful and everybody thrives in that program is because the topic is discipline. Of course, we've mentioned already a couple examples of how you instill discipline on the court, which is great, and that's what leads teams to back-to-back state appearances. But it goes beyond that, and for the people that don't know, we would be so disciplined off the court. I would say maybe 50-50 or even a little bit more. I know Gabe touched on it a little bit. Like, we were not allowed to enter the gym with slides, which is very popular, or with headphones, or with the jerseys around our neck, even for practices, not even tournaments, or at any time. If you're going to step onto a gym, your shoes better be tied, your jersey better be tucked, and there's no headphones, right? And to somebody that's like, that doesn't make sense, because the vast majority of athletes do those things. I guess it's just a thing that they do, but you wouldn't allow us to. And at first, it might be hard to understand why, but then looking back, in the position that we're in now, it makes sense. You're instilling discipline in us off the court. That way we're ready once we're there. Because, if you come in with your headphones, then you're not ready to play. You're not ready to go. Then you got to take them off. You got to put them in your bag. You're not ready, right? So I think that's something that should be mentioned. And what are your thoughts on that, Coach?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it all goes together. And that, Steve Marin, obviously, I remember he would always say, we got to stage more in the off season than during the season by all the stuff that we did beforehand. The examples you gave, but even non-basketball stuff in the classroom and over on the academic side. I'm sure you guys remember family, school, basketball. Like those are the three priorities. Doesn't mean you can't do anything else, but once you fill those buckets, then you can get to number 4 and number 5, whether it's girlfriend or friends or videos, games, whatever it is. And there's got to be that discipline, because then you get down to that situation where you're in a regional final game, and you're down 3 or 4. Luckily, it didn't happen to us, but you're down 3 or 4, and you got to come back. If you don't have the right culture, if you don't have the right discipline, that's where guys start fighting with each other and complaining about stuff, and then everything falls apart. So, the non-basketball stuff and even the mind, I always tell parents, like, I try to coach the mind first and then the basketball part, because like when you buy into what we're trying to do, the basketball part, that's going to be easy. Like that stuff's going to be easy. X's and O's are easy. It's getting, the Gabes and the Ants to buy into what we're doing, to say, all right, I don't like the fact that I can't come in with slides, but I get it. I understand, So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to touch on something that you said and what Anthony said also, is that much of what we're doing now with this podcast and all of our endeavors, I mean, again, it started back when we were in high school playing sports with that discipline. I have a lot of friends that they didn't necessarily play sports, but they don't have the same work ethic or discipline or mindset that me and Ant share, because they just weren't part of a program like yours, like, the kids at St. Brendan now. I guess it's just meant to be. Like you said, if you don't buy in, it's going to be very hard to really buy in later, because everyone wants to be the star of the show. In our team, there was no, you could literally look at our team, there was no, highlight, there was no star player. We all basically looked the same. We were all short, Cuban guys that just wanted to play basketball, and that's basically what we did. And that's how we won games. But also, I think another thing that you mentioned is that you train the mind. And a couple weeks ago, we were texting, and you shared with us like a little bit of your routine, especially now during quarantine, and how you stay fit and active. And something that you do that stood out to me was that you wake up early in the morning and you train your mind first. and then you go into your weightlifting, your running. Can you touch a little bit on that and how important it is to really train your mind and get your mind in the right headspace?
Yeah. So look, I mean, one of the things that we all have an abundance of right now is time. More than what we want, more than what we need. So like when this whole thing started, it was more of, like we were talking before we came on. Are you going? It's adversity, right? The whole quarantine, the coronavirus. How are you going to deal with adversity? Are you going to let it affect you, or are you going to take it by the horns, right? So we got so much time, and my whole thought process. I mean, last few years I've been obviously worked out every single day and stuff, all that stuff. But now you got so much time. So you're right. Like, so in the morning, I'll once I get up, I'm either reading something, I'm listening to a podcast, just kind of catching up on different things. There's been a ton of online coaching clinics that college coaches have put together, so I'm doing a lot of those. And then I'll lift a little bit earlier in the afternoon, get something to eat after, and then I'll go run at night, and just try and keep busy and make good use of the time, right? The other part is the family part. That's the thing for me that's been the most eye-opening and the most pleasurable during this whole thing, is being able to spend so much time with my family. Because of all the stuff I did on the business side for years, I had a large geography throughout the U.S. and I traveled a ton, and I missed a lot of stuff of my kids when they were in middle school and elementary and all that. My wife was the rock during that time. I mean, she'd drive them everywhere, but I missed a bunch of stuff. I missed a bunch of school stuff. I missed a bunch of sports stuff. I was leaving Sunday, getting back Thursday, leaving Sunday, getting back Thursday. Sometimes I'd, be gone the whole week. And so being able to have the opportunity now to spend so much time, my son's 31, my daughter's 25. That's a blessing. Like, at this stage, usually is when you don't spend time with your kids at that age. And for me, it's been reversed. Now I get to spend a lot more time. So that's been awesome for me.
Yeah, definitely one of the things that leaders have to do is adapt. And this is a great opportunity to adapt and practice that, right? But shifting gears a little bit back to discipline, I met Coach Juan in 7th grade, right? And that's a long time of being under your system and under your program. The joke is at St. Brendan that, for those of you that don't know, I didn't play my junior year when Coach Kevin was the coach, and then Coach Juan comes back. He comes to St. Brendan my senior year, and then I play basketball. So the joke is always that I'm only playing when Coach Juan's coaching me. But I have two examples that come to mind when it comes to discipline, a good one and a bad one under Coach Juan, right? So I'll start with the good one. The first good example is Coach Juan comes to St. Brendan over the summer. We're practicing. We probably practiced 2 weeks. And then is when we had our first tournament, our first game at FIU. It was our very first game at FIU. And very first play, very first possession, I remember, and I'm super proud of this, and I think about it a lot, is the very first possession is kind of a loose ball after the tip, and I don't even think about it. I just dive for the ball, and we get the ball, and it ended up being we were playing Killian, but Gabe already graduated. But I always remember that because it's like I didn't even think about going for the ball. It was just nature, and I'm so proud that was Coach Juan's first play at St. Brendan was me diving for the ball, and I happened to injure the other kid, and he was out, but whatever. Well, so that's always one that I think, like,
if you did dive, you were coming out of the game.
Yeah, and if I didn't, I was out. But I didn't even think about it. I'm just like, I'm going. So that was a really proud moment for me. And then I reflected. I'm like, wow, that came strictly from discipline, right? And then one bad example of not being disciplined when I should have been is we were playing Miami Springs. Over there. Yeah, that one, man, it's like it sticks. I feel it every time. So Miami Springs, for those of you who know basketball, right, terminology, I was guarding the guy in the corner, the best player for Miami Springs. I was guarding him. I was in line. The ball's coming my way. The point guard's driving my direction, right? So you're not supposed to turn your back because then you leave the guy open. The guy's dribbling to me. It's like 3 seconds left before halftime. It's a back and forth game, district game, super important. I turned my back because I'm like, I'm going to steal this ball, right? My ego getting the best of me. I turn around. The guy's open. As soon as I turned around, I knew I screwed up. I'm like, whether he made it or not, it doesn't matter. I turn around. I break discipline. The guy launches the ball to the corner, drains a 3, buzzer beater. And I didn't even have to look at Coach Juan. I knew he was going to have a heart attack any moment now. I was like, and he asked me, why'd you do that? I couldn't answer it. I wasn't disciplined at that time. That was crazy.
And unfortunately for you, it was the worst possible time because it was right going into halftime. So we couldn't even worry about the next play or anything. You got it all the way through halftime. But yeah, no, I mean, look, that's a situation where it's ingrained in your mind. And the important part is you knew right away, oh, I messed up on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, something Aaron and I talk about a lot is recognizing your mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, because mistakes, they're okay to happen. You know, we always say fail forward, which that's okay. A lot of people will have this misconception that failing is a bad thing, but especially people our age, you know, we can fail and we have still so much time to really get better and learn from them. But really where you fail and make the biggest mistake if you don't learn from the mistake. And that's a perfect example of you already knew, like, from, you know, routine that, oh man, Coach Juan's gonna tear me apart right now at halftime.
Because I've done that same scenario so many times, over and over and over and over again, like hundreds of times. I've done that drill where you just jab a little bit, but you never turn. So I knew what I had to do, but I don't know. I just turned, and as soon as I opened up, I already knew I messed up. Whether the shot went in or not, I knew I was gonna hear it. And like you said, I had halftime to hear it. You know, the whole 15 minutes. So
you had to pick halftime.
But yeah. Coach, I have a question for you, and I've asked different people and I've gotten different responses, but I'm curious to know what your answer would be to this. You preach a lot about not just being good, right? Like being good is not good enough. Why? Why is good not good enough? Why do you always have to be top notch at whatever you do?
I mean, well, like, because good is the norm, right? I mean, it's like, it's average. It's normal. Which is why it is what it is. The majority of people are average. The majority of people are normal. The great ones get out of that comfort zone and get into that abnormal stage in a way, right? You know, it's like kind of like school. You want to do average work, you're going to get a C. You want to get a B, well, you do a little bit more. You want to have the experience of getting an A, you got to work so much harder than everybody else. And, you know, for me, I'm very not picky, but selective, I guess, in what I do. And when I pick something that I'm going to do, like, I go all out, whether it's fitness, whether it's basketball, but there's no gray area. I either love it or I don't. So I'd rather not do something that I can't give everything I have to than just kind of be average, you know? In sports, for example. I mean, I love football. I like baseball. Obviously, I love basketball. I wouldn't like to coach baseball or football or any other sport. So, you know, but I love coaching basketball. On the business side, it was the same thing. You know, we dealt with technology and consulting and so on and so forth. There's a lot of other stuff I didn't like. But, you know, getting back to your question is, I don't like average. You know, it's kind of like I tell the kids from an academic standpoint, you know, if you got 24 games in a season, before the season, you're not trying to go 12-12. I mean, that's a C average. That's not the goal. The goal is to go 24-0 or 25-0. And, you know, that last year at ACC, we lost 2 games out of 29 or whatever it was. I think we went 27-2 or 29-2, something like that. But yeah, I mean, C is average. Normal is average. You got to get out of that comfort zone and get into that abnormal stage, whether it's, you know, waking up in the morning early, like Kevin does, and working out in the morning, whether it's, you know, what you're doing in your job. You know, I've been coaching for many, many, many years, but Gabe was just talking about, you know, realizing your mistakes. Nobody's a bigger critic of mine than myself. I mean, I'm the night of the game, I'm watching film and I'm not necessarily watching what the players did wrong yet. I'm critiquing myself. How can I get better in what I'm doing, right? We were talking the other day about that growth mindset book, and, you know, that's huge for me. You know, it's that whole, do you have a growth mindset or do you have that fixed mindset where this is what I am, this is what I know, I can't get out of this bubble that I'm at? Or do you think you can, you know, be a lot better than what you are? And, you know, for me, that's what now, if you put me into something I don't like, I'm not going to give you the effort that I need to. So I'm not going to do it. I'm out.
Yeah. And to attest to that, I know you won't say it because you're a very humble guy, but after ACC, after that whole situation, you lost a lot of weight that deserved to be credited for. And I know you won't say it, but you know, like you said, you become an addict of what you're gonna do. You become obsessed with what you're doing, and I know tons of people who are trying to lose weight. And it's been years, and they can't really get through to what the success is. But you literally did it, and within a year, a year and a half, and you're more ripped than any of us now, and you're much older than us. I mean, people, they long for that, and that's a perfect example of, once you become obsessed with something. And me and Anna talk about becoming obsessed with the process. A lot of people, they long for, they desire, a successful job, or they want this big title, or whatever the case is. But we always say the process is a lot funner than the result. Back to the ACC example, those winning those 29 games, that was really fun. Going, every night, battling with those guys every day was a lot more fun than, getting to the last game. Yeah, it was bittersweet because it was the last game, but again, we just finished the whole process, And I feel like for a lot of people, I use the example of you losing weight because that's such a big achievement. But it's difficult, and you don't have that mindset. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, it's about, you're right. It's about that process on a daily basis. This year at St. Brendan with the young group we had, we struggled in the beginning, and I had to probably coach the hardest I've ever had to coach this year with those young guys. I'm talking about mentally, not the basketball part more than anything else, just to keep them engaged and keep them together. And we talked a lot about the process. It's not, obviously we all want to win games, and starts with me. But at the same time, are you getting better on a daily basis, right? Well, we always tell them, when you leave the gym on a Monday, did you win that day? Not on the scoreboard, did you win that day? Did you win the next day? So just kind of take it on a day-by-day basis. So yeah, Gabe, you're right. That's a great point.
Yeah. And to go back to what you were saying, I know you mentioned that you worked a lot, you traveled a lot back at your corporate job. And I'm curious what you did exactly, because I know you're really, involved in business, and, you have a lot of friends that you guys, amongst yourselves, and you're still fully engulfed in business. But what did you do exactly, for everyone listening? And how did you translate your business and corporate career into the sports industry?
Yep. So I started in sales, technology consulting sales. And so I started as a direct rep, and moved my way up, became a district manager for the state of Florida, and then a regional manager for multiple states throughout the Southeast, and then VP of sales for the Southern US. And then I ended up getting SVP of sales for the whole US. It was a multinational, large company. Was responsible towards the end for about $480 million in revenue. Around there was my business unit. We had about 10 or 12, between 10 and 12 regional managers that reported to me, and then about 120, 130 reps, and another 40 or 50 service people that reported to those regional managers. We worked with large organizations and kind of did consulting for them, and went in and see what kind of pain points they had on the technology side, and try to solve those pain points, hardware, software, services, all that stuff. So I had to go from basically region to region and state to state, and just kind of, take care of business in different areas. And I did that for a long, long time, and kind of mapped everything, or timed everything, I guess, so that when my kids graduated from high school and were on in college, I can scale back a little bit. And I coached on the side part-time, but obviously that was my passion. And my wife allowed me to get to that point. Luckily, I mean, you guys know her. She's a saint. Doesn't have a bad bone in her body, an evil bone in her body. And she always tells me, kind of, if that's what you want to do, if that's what's going to make you happy, go ahead and do it. And we just timed it perfectly. And I guess, the rest is history. And I love what I'm doing right now. But you're right. I mean, I still, whether it's with Steve, and I mean, I'm still doing stuff with him on the business side. And a lot of that stuff translates to what we do. The whole thing, you get back to the discipline stuff that Anthony was talking about, whether it's the shoes or all that stuff, but getting late to practice. If you're going to be late, you got to send a text. You guys are in jobs right now. You can't just show up. If you got to get in at 9, you can't just show up at 9:10 and you didn't tell anybody. So it all translates. Business and sport, it's all the same thing.
Exactly.
The last couple of things that I want to say, because I know we're tight on time, is how crazy it is. And looking back, right, you don't understand it until you look back, right? I think, first of all, I've never been late to anything, ever. I can, ask anybody. I've never been late to meetings. Now that, I'm in the student government president, we have meetings all day, every day. I've never been late to one, never been late to any class, like nothing, because it's it's in me already. It's been ingrained since 7th grade. It's like, from now on, I'm never going to be late to anything, right? So for example, I live 15 minutes away from Miami-Dade, right? If I have class, I'm not going to leave 15 minutes before. I'm going to leave 30. Why 30? Because what if there's an accident, right? It's that mindset that was instilled in me of over-preparing, right? Yep. To be ready, mentally ready for whatever. So I might be the first one waiting on the Zoom call in a meeting because I'm mentally preparing. I'm not worried about the distraction. So that's one thing that has really stuck with me. And I think it works both ways. First, it comes from you bringing it up to me, to all of us, to all the players that you have, instilling it, repeating it over and over. But then a greater part, I think, has to do with you individually, of taking in that knowledge, what you're saying, and actually executing and doing it. So that's something I've been carefully paying attention to you and what you said over the years. And that's why I am who I am today. So a lot of what I do comes from you and the coaches and all the 6-7 years that I've been with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you're right. I mean, I can't ask you guys to be on time. And as you know, like for me, on time is not like, if practice is at 6, it's not, you're not getting there at 6. You're getting there at, 5:40, 5:45, start getting mentally ready. I can't ask you guys to do that. I mean, if practice is at 6 and I'm walking in at 6:05 and 6:10 and I have no idea what we're doing, I can't ask you guys to do the same thing. So yeah, I mean, I've got to lead by example on that.
Yeah. Me and Anthony, we always talk about that. We usually ask almost every guest that we have, because me personally, especially growing up, I was never really a vocal person. I think I became a vocal person probably because of you, because I kind of had to be, especially getting into my senior year. But my favorite type of leader is a leader that can lead by example, and you did that exponentially with, how you coached us. You were, again, front in line. You were always setting the example, setting the tone for what we needed to do, whether it was in the weight room, whether it was outside on the track, whether it was in the court, the classroom, whatever it was. And you made sure that everything that you taught us wasn't only eligible for, the basketball court, but we can take that home and really apply that to our everyday lives. You always said that, it was beyond basketball. Yep. That, you wanted to be like, if you got anything out of this, you wanted to be invited to, the weddings of the players and, the graduations and stuff. State championship, yeah, that's fun. We'll talk about it, but that's really where, you wanted to be. And I thank you for that. With that being said, we are running out of time, but Coach Juan, thank you so much for being on. It was a blessing. We hope to have you on again. Say hi to the family. So many wise words you said today and so much knowledge, but I truly thank you for all that you've done for me.
No, man. Thank you guys for having me on. Like I told you in the beginning, you guys are off to a great start in your careers, and I'm just happy to kind of be off to the side there and watch you guys do your thing. I'm super proud of both of you, and I love you guys, and I'm looking forward to a lot of great things from you in the future. So thank you for having me on. And yeah, when you do get married, I'm expecting to be in that way.
I won't come your way. Don't worry, Coach.
All right, guys.
Gabe is closer than I am. Gabe's about to get married anytime soon.
All right. Well, we got to have a separate conversation, man.
That's for another day. All right. Bye, Coach.
Take care, guys.